Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Richmond and today I want to share with you again on my experience on how my wife and I we go about selecting our interior designer for our new home, right? Our new home is coming and we want somebody to help out with the design of the home. And also the things to look out for and how you really go about sourcing and shortlisting these interior designers. So if you have decided, you want to engage an interior designer for your new home, then there are a few things, right? There's a few things that will be really very important, right? First is, of course, whether their design suits you or whether their design really appeal to you, right? And then it's really about, all the budgeting and stuff, whether it is something that you want to invest in. And lastly, it will be really about the chemistry, right? Your relationship between you and the interior designer. Right, so on top of that, then of course there should always be trust, right? Trust is definitely something that we want to have with our interior designer. Right, renovation is a big and costly project. Without the trust and the confidence, right, it will be really hard to work together. So let's start by breaking down the process into 3 steps. So the first step is all about sourcing for interior designers. Then the next one will be evaluating their proposals, evaluating their quotation, right? And the last step is shortlisting them, right? Find out exactly who you want to work with. Right, so this is exactly how I did it a few months ago and it has saved me a lot of time. So let's go to the first step. The first step is all about sourcing, right? So where do you find the most trustworthy and the highest quality interior designers? So the best way to do that is to do your research online, right? Go to Canvas or the other kind of like ID platforms, right? Look at the ratings, look at their reviews, their past projects, right? You cannot go wrong if you choose those, who had hundreds of reviews, those that have, highly rated ones, right? So you read about what others say about their experience, right? And then from there, you will have a good sense of, if this is something or this is someone that you can work with, right? Also, select at least like 3 interior designers to meet. Right? Even you already know who exactly you want to work with, right? It's still good to have others to compare with. Right? It happens to me actually, right? I thought, the one that I have shortlisted, right, will be the one that I want to work with. But somehow it didn't work out that way. Right? And we have to meet many others after that. Right? So and you have to select from different tiers as well. And tiers, I mean like, one from the boutique interior designer, where they may have higher costs, but they usually have less projects and they do up their design very nicely. Another one that is mid-range who have several projects on hand. They may have several different design teams, right? And then from there, they work out, right? And then there's a mainstream one who has a lot of packages, who is very affordable and has a lot of projects on hand. Right, so the idea here is to really compare their offerings and their quality of work, right? So it doesn't matter if, some of them are out of your current budget, right? Too high or too low, right? But, what you really want is to know what's out there, right? What's their offerings that are of value, what's the market looks like. If a mainstream interior designer can deliver something close to a boutique designer, at a lower cost, right? Then it can be, worth exploring further, right? Right, this is how you can approach it. Or a boutique designer can go way beyond what others offer, right? Although it might be a lot more costly, right? But it's still value for money, right? So this is how you can compare across different tiers, understand the offerings, right? To see, if they are too high or too low, right? That's the first step. The second step is then evaluate their proposals. Right, so most IDs will meet with you, right, do up your design brief, or you can share yours. If you want to learn more about how you can do out your own design brief, you can watch my other videos on that. Right, so with the design brief, right, then they will be able to provide you a proposed layout and a quotation. Right, so from there, right, you can then see if you like the layout or not. Right, does it take into account of your requirements, your lifestyle, does it really appeal to you? Right? And you will also receive the quotation as well, and that's when you can also look at how they prepare the quotation. Right? Does it include everything? Right? Does it look reasonable? Is it value for money? Right? This is a very important step, right? It's so-called, like a preview of how working with them will be like if you really engage them as your ID, right? You know, even if the quote is lower, right, the quotation is lower, it can mean that there might be a lot of missing items, right, and then, you know, you have to top up later on, right. That's a red flag to me, right, because, you know, it means that they are not meticulous, they are not detailed enough to really, you know, do the quotation properly, and it affects my impression of them, right. So it actually happens to me a few months ago, right. One of the ID that I met gave me a much higher average quotation, right. Ooh, okay, maybe too high, right. And then another ID that I met gave me a much lower than average quotation. And it turned out that, you know, the lower quotation one, right, has so many missing items that, you know, if I account for all these missing items, right, it will mean that it actually costs even higher than the ID who gave me the higher quotation. So I went for the one with the higher quotation, not because it's cheaper at the end, right, but they have done a good job and earned my trust, right, because their quotation is a lot well done. Right, that's the second step. The last step is really how you shortlist the interior designer. So at this point in time, you should have a pretty much a good idea about what's out there, right? How much it costs, and how the layouts will be, right? You know, considering all your lifestyle and your requirements. But if you are not exactly clear, right, and if you have more time, you have more questions, then you can always meet more interior designers, right? So some of them met 12 of them, some met 2. For me, I met around 5 interior designers. Right, so the easiest way to narrow down your list, right, is to eliminate those that you know who are not up to your expectation, right, in terms of like their quality of work, right, or through their quotation, or you just, you know, don't like their designs, or they are just not those people, or, you know, that you enjoy working with. So chemistry, I think, is, to me, is probably one of the most important aspects that I look for in my interior designer, because he or she will represent me in the whole renovation process, and I want someone who I can trust. You know, I know that he or she will do a very good job, kind of stuff, right? So I would, you know, if I have to be involved in almost everything, right, and I have to spend time doing all the coordination work, right? I have to chase the contractors, right, on every single detail. I have to make sure that all the works are completed properly. I need to know how to, you know, rectify certain issue. Then what's the point of having an interior designer, right? So I need someone that I can trust, someone that I feel comfortable working with, and I know that he or she will deliver what the end product will be, right? Right. So when your list really gets shorter, right, you know, when you have only a couple of IDs, right, then that's when you can ask a lot more questions, right, find out more about them, right, and then you can start to review your budget, right, is it too high, is it too low, right, considering all these various factors all together, then you can decide who you want to work with. Like I said, chemistry, quality, and value for money, right, works together, right. This is how you end up getting to your ideal interior designer, right? So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, right? Make sure you subscribe, right? Because I am going to bring you along my renovation journey, right? I want to share with you more, right? So that you can learn, you know, especially for those who are really going through the process, right? If you are collecting your keys, if you are starting your renovation journey soon, right? I want to share with you my experience, and from there you can skip a few steps. You don't have to make any kind of like mistakes and things like that, right? This is something that is done for you. So until next time, I will see you in the next video.